Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio, so today we need to be taking a look at some bargains that have been coming around for the Pokémon TCG. And I want to start off with one which is kind of surprising and kind of not. Sam's Club are selling the Pokémon TCG Classic for $195. Now, I do need to warn you that this did sell out between me seeing it and making the video, but that's not really the point I'm making here. Now, obviously, there are going to be a bunch of people that saw this and went to Sam's Club and got it for $195. That's lovely. But it doesn't really matter whether you did or not. The point is that it was there. Because does anyone honestly think this is the only time we're going to see this? Like, the Pokémon TCG Classic has been steadily dropping in price since it was initially released. It was a $400 box, £400 box in the UK. This is about the price, maybe a little bit less, than it was in Japan on launch. And I thought the Japan version was cooler. I never paid £400 for this, I'll be honest with you. I know a lot of people didn't want to. But a TCG Classic is an inherently cool product. It was just incredibly expensive. It was the most premium of premium products. You know, and it comes with your sleeves and your deck boxes and little carry case that folds out into a playmat and your stacking damage counters and all of that. Then it came with a whole bunch of amazing promos. It was awesome. The thing is, it was just incredibly expensive. So you know what? A lot of people skipped it. At $200 though? I think for $200 a lot more people are going to be convinced. Because look, we still have a bunch of cool cards coming. And look, there were a bunch of exclusive cards like the Ho-Oh, Suicune and Lugia EX, which were actually released in a separate product, the Combined Powers Collection, which is another thing we've seen being cheap fairly recently. But that doesn't replicate all of the classic cards that we got in TCG Classic. You know, like the Charizard, for instance. And then, all of the others. So, I'm just telling you, this is a product which is extremely cool. Finding it for $200 is awesome. But let's not pretend this is going to be the only time we ever see it for this kind of price. This has been going down and going down and going down and going down since it initially got released. And basically, a lot of them were printed. And they haven't sold anywhere near as much as was expected. And the price is dropping. So I've shown you the Sam's Club price. How about Firestorm Games over in the UK? Not an endorsement. I'm just telling you where I've seen it, all right? When I'm telling you about stores on these videos, if I'm giving you an endorsement, I will make it very clear. Otherwise, it's not an endorsement. It's just telling you it's available here for this price. And it's available on Firestorm Games for £200. Which is a bit more than $195, admittedly. But again, £400 product in the UK, now selling for £200. And this is just in stock. And there are plenty of other places. You know, the Card Vault are selling it for a whopping $230. Oh, gonna have to pay a little bit more over there, a whopping extra £30. But again, this is just in stock, available right now. And, if I'm going to buy it, I'm probably going to go for the place that's got it for £30 less, honestly. But this is just another example of a shop that's got it. And I've shown you Sam's Club. I've shown you a couple different places in the UK. Don't be assuming this is going to stop. Imagine, and I think this is a very fair assumption, that this is just going to keep going. We're going to keep seeing this coming up over and over again for a very, very cheap price. Because why wouldn't you? Now, there's going to come a point, obviously, there's going to come a point where it does actually sell out. And when it sells out, it will probably never be seen again. Because at the moment, it's clearly stores getting rid of excess stock. There's too many of them, stores are getting rid of it by selling it cheap. When it sells out, you'll probably never see it again. And I could see this, and I'm not making any kind of promise, but I could see this jumping up again in the future and being, 5, 10, 20 years' time, being a very sought after product. Either way, This is very cheap, not just in the US, in a bunch of places. So I'm just saying, this is something to keep an eye on. Moving on to something a little bit more recent and, with more cards in. How about Paradox Rift? It's just available on Amazon US right now for $100. Just $100 for a booster box. And I've been showing you lately that some of these booster boxes are coming around quite cheap on eBay, etc. But it's important to note this ships from Amazon, sold by Amazon. Obviously, buying booster boxes from random people on Amazon, just like buying booster boxes from random people on eBay, is not necessarily always the best plan. But this is sold by Amazon. So it's legit, and their return policy will be fine. And yeah, this is just Paradox Rift coming out for $100, which is honestly a pretty good bargain. Like, since Paradox Rift, we've only had Temporal Forces, Twilight Masquerade, and Stellar Crown in terms of main sets. I know we had Shroud of Fable in there as well, but mini set, we're not worrying about that right now. It's not that old of a set. Now, admittedly, Paradox Rift is pre-Ace Spec, so you're not getting any Ace Specs in there, which is a little bit sad. Because, Ace Specs are very, very, very cool cards that a lot of people are going to be after. But let's not pretend there aren't a bunch of cool cards in Paradox Rift, because there absolutely are. We've got things like the Special Illustration Rare Iron Hands, very playable card. Or Roaring Moon, very playable card. Or Golden Go, which we know is a very playable card. We've got the Professor Sada and Professor Turo full arts in there. Gold Countercatcher, which we know is a really good card. And then, we've just got a whole bunch of illustration rares. There's a bunch of illustration rares in here as well, because it was made from, a couple different Japanese sets. But I'm a big fan of the Steelix, for instance. Love me some Steelix. But there's a bunch of others there that a lot of people are going to like instead. The Okacheke Plusle and Minun. The Groudon, which has been jumping up in price. The Gimmighoul that makes one picture with the Golden Go. So make no mistake about it, this is a very cool set. $100 is, for a booster box, ridiculous. And again, I know you will occasionally find prices like this over on eBay, but I think the difference here is you're buying it from Amazon, sold by Amazon, shipped by Amazon. So in theory, it should be a little bit more reliable. And that's a good thing. I like this. I think we're going to see more of these as well, for what it's worth. I do think we're going to see more bargains in terms of booster boxes being sold for around about $100. It's about 2/3 of the price of a new booster box. It's great. But again, when you see the booster boxes getting really cheap in retailers, that generally means, not a hard and fast guarantee, but it generally means they're getting rid of excess stock. So it's not going to be around forever. You have been warned. And the last thing I want to tell you about, I think it might be something we've talked about before, but I think it is something we really need to have a quick chat about. And that is over at Sam's Club again, actually, the Pokemon Crown Zenith Sea and Sky Premium Collection, which is being sold for $40. It's showing up in stores, as you can see here. It is also showing up online. It's just available to buy online. It seems to be $40 regardless of where you actually pick it up. In store or online, it's going to set you back $40. And this is a product which I cannot recommend highly enough. Once again, we're talking about an older set here in terms of Crown Zenith. And look, you are getting 14 booster packs for $40. Even if we ignore all the other cards in here, you're paying $286 for a booster pack. Crown Zenith is a very strong set. And it's a set which isn't going to last forever. There is going to come a point where, I know recently I've been showing you a bunch of Crown Zeniths here and Crown Zeniths there. It's not going to last forever. And it's available for $40. And you also get your Rayquaza V, your Kyogre V, your Rayquaza, your Kyogre, and your Jumbo Rayquaza. And the Jumbo Rayquaza is exclusive to this box. The rest aren't. They're just reprinted cards. But the Jumbo is. But honestly, if you just want the packs of Crown Zenith, this is totally worth it. The Jumbo Rayquaza and the other cards are just a handy little bonus. But this is still out there. It's still readily available over at Sam's Club. So even though I think we have talked about it before, while I'm telling you about Pokemon TCG bargains, it really does seem like this is worth popping in at the end just to remind you guys you should be looking at this because it's awesome. But I told you all about it now. So now it's over to you guys. Tell me if you're going to be picking up the TCG Classic or any box of the Paradox Rift or this Crown Zenith box, or tell me whether you think they're worth skipping. And hey, if you found any bargains that you think I should be telling people about, tell me about them in the comment section as well. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.